Life or death?
Welcome to New Story in English. Today I will tell you a very beautiful short story. The name of the story is
Life or Death.
Let's start reading this beautiful story.
What would you do in a life or death situation? What would you give up to save your life? Could you give up your house or your car? Could you give up all the money in your bank account? How much could you give up? Could you give up your own arm? What if your life depended on it? Could you cut your own arm off? In 2003, Aaron Ralston was in that kind of life or death situation. He was hiking in a desert canyon when something terrible happened. He fell, and his arm became trapped under a big rock. There was no one to help him. He had only two choices. He could die or he could cut his own arm off to escape. Aaron was an experienced adventure athlete. In 2002, he quit his job as an engineer and set a world record for climbing. He became the first person to climb all of Colorado's largest mountains alone in winter. He was not afraid of danger. In 2003, he was almost killed by an avalanche while skiing. Later that same year, he almost lost his life while hiking. He didn't expect it to be dangerous, so he made a very big mistake. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. On the first day, he hiked about 20 miles into the desert when he fell into a hole. As he fell, he moved a large rock that weighed 360 kilos. The rock landed on his arm. He was trapped. He was alone in the desert, and no one knew where he was. Aaron knew that help was not coming. He immediately thought of cutting off his arm. Of course, he didn't want to do this, so he tried not to think about it. After a short time, he lost feeling in the trapped arm. He tried many different ways to escape. He tried to push the rock, but he couldn't. He tried to break the rock, but he couldn't. He tried to use his climbing equipment to pull the rock, but he couldn't. He knew that there was almost no chance of anyone finding him. He had very little water and he knew he could not survive for long. Aaron knew that death was a very real possibility. He took out his video camera and began to record himself. My name is Aaron Ralston. My parents are Donna and Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado. Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them. Aaron said Goodbye to his family. So again, love to everyone. Bring love and peace and happiness and beautiful lives into the world in my honor. Thank you. Love you. He stopped recording. He then used his knife to write his name on the rock. Under his name he wrote October 1975. This was the month and year he was born. Under that he wrote April 2003. This was the current month and year. This was his gravestone. He prayed to God and was ready to die. He knew that cutting off his arm was his only chance to escape. He had a knife, but it was a very cheap one. As he cut off his arm, he felt a strange mixture of terrible pain and joy. He called it a beautiful pain. Cutting his arm was the worst pain of his life, but the idea of freedom made him very excited. He had to be careful not to pass out from the pain and excitement. He cut the skin. He cut the muscles. He cut the nerves. But he couldn't cut the bone. His knife was not strong enough. He didn't know what to do. Aron Ralston was faced with a horrifying dilemma. He had managed to sever the skin, muscles, and nerves of his trapped arm, but he couldn't cut through the bone with his knife. In that moment of desperation, he had to make a difficult decision. He realized that his only chance of survival was to break his arm bone and free himself from the rock. Summoning every ounce of courage and determination, Aron devised a plan. He wedged his arm against the rock and used the force of his body weight to create pressure on the bone. With a tremendous surge of adrenaline and pain, he pushed his body forward, causing his arm bone to snap. The excruciating pain was beyond anything he had ever experienced, but it was overshadowed by the overwhelming relief of his newfound freedom. Aron's ordeal wasn't over yet. With his arm now severed, he faced the challenge of navigating his way out of the canyon and finding help. The journey was physically and mentally demanding, but fueled by his desire to survive. He managed to make his way back to civilization. He encountered a family who provided him with water and alerted the authorities. Aron was finally rescued and airlifted to a hospital. The story of Aron Ralston's harrowing experience spread, captivating people around the world. It became a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the will to survive against all odds. Aron's courage and determination to save his own life resonated deeply with many, inspiring them to reflect on their own capacity for resilience. In the aftermath of his life-altering experience, Aron Ralston became an advocate for outdoor safety and began sharing his story as a cautionary tale. He emphasized the importance of informing others about your plans when venturing into remote areas and carrying proper equipment for emergencies. Aron's story raises profound questions about the limits of sacrifice and the extraordinary measures an individual can take to preserve their own life. It invites us to contemplate our own values, priorities, and the lengths we would go to survive in a life or death situation.
The end. Hope you have enjoyed the reading. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And find more fascinating and exciting stories from the description below the video.